Good morning, guys. This is going to be part 2 of yesterday's video. So we're still looking at TEKS 9C, which is writing exponential equations from word problems. So I'm going to go ahead and do number 8 and number 9 with you guys. And then since I got a lot of concerns on how to write the problem versus how to solve it, the number 10 through 12, you guys are just going to write the equations on your own. Okay. So let's look at number 8. It says an adult takes 400 milligrams of ibuprofen. Each hour, the amount of ibuprofen in the person's system decreases by about 29%. How much ibuprofen is left after 6 hours? So first, we go through and label everything. So it says they take 400 milligrams of ibuprofen. This is what they're starting with, so this is our A value. Each hour it decreases, so we know this is going to be a decay. And then remember the formula for decay is y equals a 1 minus b to the x power. And then this 29% is our b value, but since we have to turn it into a decimal, 29% with 2 decimal places to the left is going to be 0.29, so this is b. And then it says how much is left after 6 hours. So this is going to be X. So a lot of mistakes you guys were making yesterday is when I was asking for the equation, it has to be in terms of X and Y. So the equation for this one is going to be Y equals, because we're following this formula here, A, which is 400, parentheses 1 minus 0.29 to the power of X. So if you did something like this on yesterday's assignment, then you got it correct. Even if you combined the thing in the parentheses, so if you did 1 minus 0.29 and got an answer, a simplified answer, that still was correct. For those of you who plugged in a number for X, that is not the equation, that is solving it. So now we're going to solve it. So I have y is equal to 400, 1 minus 0.29. Let's see, 1 minus 0.29 is 71.71 to the power of 6. So we're doing 0.71 to the 6th power and then multiplying it by 400. So we get 51, and I went around to 2 decimal places, 24. Okay, so to answer the question, after 6 hours, so 6 hours after they took 400 milligrams of ibuprofen, there's only 51.24 milligrams left inside their body. Okay, let's go look at number 9. Number 9 says you deposit $1,600 in a bank account. Find the balance after 3 years for each of the following situations. So A, B, and C are all going to be different answers because they're giving us a different interest rate and they're giving us different time. So the first one says the account pays 2.5% annual interest compounded monthly. So let's first go through here and label everything. So 1,600 is our starting value, so that's A. This 3 years is going to be our B, our X, but it's going to depend on if it's asking for monthly, quarterly, or yearly. So we'll come back to that in a second. And then these values here are going to be our B values. So 2.5% converts to 0.025. 1.75% converts to 0.0175. Remember, 2 decimal places to the left. And then 4% converts to 0.04. Okay. And then if it's talking about monthly for 3 years, we know that there's 12 months in a year. So 12 times 3 is 36 months. So this is the X value for that problem. Quarterly means 4 times a year. So we would do 4 times 3 to give us 12. So that's our x. And then yearly would just be the 3. Okay, so now that I labeled everything, how do we know if it's a growth, a decay, or a constant? So we definitely know it's going to be either a growth or a decay, since it has the percentage in it. And this is talking about you putting money in a bank account, and then ever so often they put interest in it. And so interest is money that they give you just by putting your money in their bank. So since this is money that they give you, it's interest, this is going to be a growth. So this is a growth. And remember, our formula for growth is y equals a, 1 plus b to the x power. So let's write our equation first, and remember our equation is in terms of y and x. So for this first one, this is going to be y equals a, which is 1600, parentheses 1 plus this b is 0.025 to the power of x. And then if we were solving this, this would be y equals 1600, 1.025 to the power of 36. So if I was to simplify this, type it into my calculator, I would do 1.025 to the power of 36 times 1600. And since this is money, I'm going to round to 2 decimal places. So this is 3892.06. So if her money that was compounded monthly with a 2.5 interest rate started at 1600, after those 36 months, it would be 3,892.06. Okay, let's check out the next interest rate. So we're going to write our equation for that one. So it's going to be y equals a, which is 1600, 1 plus 0.0175 power of x. Remember, that's our equation when we have x and y. And then to solve, we have 1600, 1.0175, because I combine what's inside the parentheses, to the power of 12. So now let's see what the difference in money this is going to be. So 1.0175 to the power of 12 times 1600. Okay, this is going to be 1970.30. So definitely not as much as the first one, because this one only increased by about $300. Okay, let's look at the last one. We're going to write an equation. So we have y is equal to a, which is 1600, 1 plus 0.04 to the power of x. Remember, our equation has x and y. And then we plug in x, so we have 1600, 1.04 to the power of 3. So now let's see what this is going to be. So 1.04 to the power of 3 times 1600. And this one gives us 1799.78. So obviously the first one, our problem in A, definitely gives them more money at that higher interest rate, compounded monthly. So that means they're getting that interest rate every month versus getting, let's say, 4% every year. So it adds up quicker. Okay. Okay, you're going to do number 10 through 12 on your own. And you're only writing the equation. So there is not going to be an x value. So your equation has to be in terms of y and x. Okay, so go ahead and look at number 10. And first tell me if number 10 is a growth, a decay, or a constant. Okay, so number 10 says you buy a new computer for $2,100. The computer decreases by 50% annually. Decreases tells us it's a decay. Okay, now tell me what this formula would be after you label everything. So you should have labeled 2,100 as A, because that's the starting value, and this 50% as B, but if we turn 50% into a decimal, it would be 0.5. So the equation that you should have got was y equals a, which is 2100, parentheses 1 minus 0.5 to the power of x. Or you could have simplified this inside part right here, and you could have wrote y equals 2100 times 0.5 to the power of x. Either answer is correct. They're both correct. So if you put either one, you are good. Okay, go ahead and look at number 11. Tell me if it is a growth or if it's a decay. Okay, number 11 says, you drink a beverage with 120 milligrams of caffeine. Each hour, the caffeine in your system decreases by about 12%. So since it says decreases, we know it's a decay. So that's what you should have put. Okay, now go ahead and label everything and then tell me what your equation would be. So this is what you should have labeled everything. It says you drink a beverage that has 120 milligrams of caffeine. So that's your starting value. That's A. And then this 12% is your B value. But if you convert it to a decimal, it's going to be 0.12. So the equation you should have wrote was y equals A, which is 120, parentheses 1 minus 0.12 to the power of x. Or if you combined this middle part here, you would have got y is equal to 120, parentheses 88.88 to the power of x. These are both correct. Okay. Okay, last one. Go ahead and look at number 12. You're telling me if this is a growth or if it's a decay. Okay, so number 12 says the foundation of your house has about 1,200 termites. The termites grow at a rate of about 2.4% per day. So you guys should have saw the word grow at a rate and knew it was a growth. Okay, go ahead and label the rest of the problem and then tell me the equation. Okay, so labeling the rest of the problem, you should have found that this 1,200 is A because this is the starting value. And this 2.4% is B, but if we convert that to a decimal, it's 0.024. So that means the equation you should have found, since it's a growth, is y is equal to A, which is 1,200, 1 plus 0.024 to the power of x. Or if you would have combined this inside part, you would have got y equals 1,200, parentheses 1.024 to the power of x. They are both correct. Okay. That's all. If you have any questions, please email me.